So this short video is just to talk to you a little bit about the projectTermExtract application that's now available on the App Store. So to show you how it works, I've created a project which contains a bunch of files. And once you've installed the application, you should find in your add-ins, or in your view menu, sorry, not in your add-ins, you should find in your view menu, you've got this project terms cloud. This relates to this window down here at the bottom, projects terms cloud, and this is where the term cloud is going to appear. You should have that in your projects view as well, so you'll find it down the bottom there. If you don't like it there, if you want it somewhere else, you can just move it across like that. You can't see that it's actually doing anything because it doesn't really show you it moving across, but you can see that it does move. You might find that an interesting little tip, just if you want to reorganize these tabs across the bottom here. It's not entirely clear in the Studio user interface that that's what that does. Anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave it down here in the projects view, and in the files view I'm actually going to put it up here instead on the side. So to do that, I just pick up this tab. Now I've got the projects terms cloud and I move it over where I want it over here. I want to do that just to show you how it looks in different views. You could actually have this in a totally separate window, and if you were working on a big project with a lot of terms, you might want to do that, because the bigger the window, the easier it is going to be to read all the terms that are in the cloud. But I'll just show you what it looks like in these two different locations for the time being. So I'm going to go back to my projects view, and the first thing I'm going to do is just right click on the project and then click on Extract Project Terms. That brings up this little window here that allows me to start doing the work I need to do to refine my term base. But I'm going to click on the Extract Terms from Project just to show you what this looks like first of all. So you can see now that in this window it looks like that. You can see it reasonably clearly, but I'm going to close that. And then if I click over in the Files view, and I'll just select all these files, so I'm just pressing Ctrl A in this window in order to select them all, and then right click and extract the project terms. This time when I click on it, it populates this window, and you can see it looks slightly differently. I just prefer working on it in a window of this shape so that the cloud is circular. I don't know why, it's just personal preference. You can put this wherever you like, and then put this somewhere where it's convenient for you to work with. So I'm going to put it down, this window down here. So once you've got your cloud extracted and you can see all the things that are in there, you can immediately see there are some things in there which are not going to be particularly desirable. So for example, you don't want anything with numbers in it. Probably don't want those in your term base. So to get rid of those, I can use a regular expression, and if I type in \d and a plus, that just means find a number as many times as possible. So it's going to find anything which has got a number in it basically, but that means it's also likely to pick up things which have numbers and letters. See if I can find one in here to show you. I'm sure there are some in here somewhere, like 160 kilometers for example, or 60 miles per hour for example. It's going to pick those out as well, and actually I don't really want those either, so it's just as well to do that. Or something like bore 2 for example, or stroke 2. I don't think I really want those in my term base either, so keeping it like that is not going to be a bad thing. If I wanted to be more specific and only take things which had numbers, and I didn't want to remove bore 2 and stroke 2, then I could just be a little bit more specific, and if I put a top hat at the beginning, or caret symbol at the beginning, and a dollar symbol at the end, then that's only going to find anything which contains numbers and nothing else, so it won't pull out the things which are alphanumeric. But in this case, I want those, so I'm going to click Add. And as soon as I do that, you can see it's pulled out all of the things which match that expression out of that entire file. And if I now preview the extracted terms, it's now going to refine what I was looking at, and now it's much cleaner because I'm not looking at anything that contains those numbers, because I don't really want them. Now the next thing that sticks out at you is we've got like single letters and two letters. Some of the 2 letters might be things you want to have, they might not, but just to show you how this works, if I wanted to cut this down, I could say, okay, I only want to take things which are at least 5 characters long in my term base. And I can also say, if it occurred once, I'm not particularly interested, I don't want it in my term base, but if it happens 2 or 3 times, then yes, I would like to have it in my term base, because then I might start seeing some benefits from it. So I might say, okay, let's make that 3. So if any of these terms occur more than 3 times throughout that project, include them in my term base. And then I can preview the extracted terms again. And when I do this, you can see that the cloud is going to change again. Now what I can also see when I look at this contains some words that I might not want to have in there. So I might not want to have a word like until or quite or light, for example. I won't necessarily want to have these things. Well, light I might want to have in there, but things like quite or until, I don't necessarily want to have those in my term base. So I can get rid of these as well. And the way to do that, I need to make sure I uncheck regular expressions, because otherwise they'll still be used. And if I happen to type something that was part of a bigger word, it would include that bigger word as well. So I uncheck regular expressions to get an exact match. And then I can type in, I don't want to have quite. Just hit the return key. I don't have to click on add. So I can go through the list quite quickly, as so long as I can see it, and add the things that I don't particularly want in there. You can see, I need to scroll down a bit to see it, but you can see I'm adding these words. What I'll actually do is if I take a bigger word like engine, I'll take engine and search out of there. Engine and search out of there. So you can see these 2 big words here. When I preview the extracted terms, they've now changed again, and this time I've lost all of those big words. If I found that I took one too many, or any of the extraction that I'd done so far, particularly with regular expressions, had taken things out that I didn't want to take out, then I can pick them out here now, engine and search. I can hold the control key down and pick them up, and then I can just say delete and delete them from there. And then when I preview again, you can see now they're back in my window again. So that's one way to edit and manipulate the things you're actually looking at. So that's looking pretty good. Maybe I don't want HTTPS in there either. I can see that down there in case you're wondering. So you can see this is why it helps to have this on a bigger screen, because you can see it much more clearly. So I can click on add. That one's going to disappear as well. And I also saw another word in there, efficience. Looks like another language. I don't want that in there, because this is my English term base, so I'm going to add that too. Don't include that. So that one's there now, and then when I preview the extracted terms, they've moved as well. So that gives you an idea how it works, how you can chop and change what's actually in there. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to create a file that I can translate that contains all of these terms. So to do that, I just click on include terms file to the project. So I click on that. Now I can't see it immediately, and although it has actually been added to the project, but I won't see it until I've refreshed. A refresh action could be go to another project and come back again, and when you do this time you'll see it. Or because I want to stay in this window, I can just press the F5 key. And as soon as I do that, you'll see the file gets added to this project. So I'm pressing it now. There we go. And you can see now I have this file at the top here, which has already been added and prepared to translate. So if I open up this file like this, you can see now that it contains a list of all the terms that have been extracted. Now, if when I look at this, well, I'll come back to what I'm going to do with that in detail in a second. So what I want to do now is translate that. You can see I've already got one that was in my translation memory. But as I move down through that, well, I've got a few that are in my translation memory. Oh, but they're actually completely wrong. They are just copies of the source. Okay, I think I did that before by mistake. So actually, maybe now I can show you something else here. What I can do is I can delete this because this is not correct. So I can delete that out of my translation memory. Delete this one out of my translation memory. Let's take all this rubbish out of my translation memory. So if you didn't know that you can remove things from your translation memory while you're in this view, this might be quite interesting for you. So one more, I'll take this one out as well. Okay, so I've removed those. And then I'm just going to select all of those, clear the target segment. Okay. So I'm ready to go. So that's probably what you're going to look like. You might have some things coming in there. You could perhaps go through and translate it from your from the fragment matches you're getting. That would help you. So for example, if I wanted to put that word in there, I can start typing, and I'm picking up this by auto suggest from here. So it's quite nice. I probably actually only want the singular on that, so I could confirm, or I could either confirm it or not. I'm just going to leave it there now because I don't actually want to put it in my TM. So I can move on to the next one, and you might find you'll get matches from that. If you don't, then you might want to translate it using machine translation or something else, or just do it by hand as you're working through it with a bit of research to make sure you get the correct one. What I'm going to do is add a translation memory that I've created by using a machine translation. And to do that, I'm just going to go to my project settings. I'm going to disengage that particular TM because I definitely don't want to add anything by mistake. And I'm going to click on use file-based translation memory, and then I'm just going to pick a TMX file that contains the translations for those terms that came from a machine translation engine. Do a quick upgrade on my TMX. Delete the temporary files, and now I'm there. I'm not going to bother updating it because I just want to pre-translate from it really. I click on OK. You can see I'm getting a result immediately from here. It just happens to be the same as the one that I used before. That's great. I'm now going to come to my batch tasks, pre-translate the file, finish at that point and close it, reopen, and now you can see I'm all 100% translated throughout the file. So that's great. So I'm going to use that. So I'm going to close that file now. And the next step in the process is to convert that to a term base. So I'm going to right click on the XML file. You have to pick the XML file for this. If you pick any other file, when you click on here and you click on generate term base, you'll just get a message that telling you can't do it. So if you get that, it's because you selected the wrong file. You need to select the XML file that you've just translated. So I right click on there and I say generate term base. And that term base has now been successfully added to the project. So if I click on OK there, if I now go back to my project settings, while I'm at it, I'm going to remove that term base. That was my TMX that I upgraded. Enable this one again so I can work now. So you can see it's quite handy sometimes just to add translation memories as and when you need them. They don't have to be there all the time. You can use them as a resource. They're not a permanent, not necessarily a permanent asset. I then go to my term bases, and I've now got this term base which has just been created and added to my project. If I click on OK there now, I can even remove this file if I want to. To remove the file, if I go to the source language and then delete it, you don't have to do this, but you can do. That will remove it entirely from the project. So it's now gone. So I'm back to a nice clean project again. So you can remove that after you've finished. If I open a file up now just to show you how that works, so I click up here. So I've opened up this particular one, so you can see I've got a couple of things in here to change. So this bit here looks like it should probably be, this is supposed to be an Austro-Daimler. So I can take Austro-Daimler like that, and I can confirm that. So I've done the first one. I'm now come down to the third segment, and this time I'm getting a fuzzy match repair. Now the interesting thing is here is if I look at the repair, if I hover over it, this will show me where the repair has come from, and it's coming from the term base that I just created. So it's taken the word for wallpaper that was previously translated. So it was an image via F wallpapers, translated as Bilderberg F Tapeton, and it's now been replaced with, or suggested replacement with the word Wikipedia, which is actually correct because that's actually what I want in here. So this has been a 100% correct correction of a 62% match, thanks to using this little project term base, which is quite smart. And if I now confirm that segment and go down to the next one, I'm getting another fuzzy match repair, and this time I'm getting another correct fuzzy match repair because it's removed the quotes, because this second part to my my file was the same as the previous translation but without the quotes. So I can just confirm that one as well. So with the virtue of having used the projectTermExtract to get the extra terms out of there, you can see I'm already getting some benefit from that in conjunction with my existing translation memory. And now when I come down to the next segment, you can see already I've now got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 terms that have been recognized that I wouldn't have had anything for previously to help me to do the rest of the translation. So in a nutshell, that's how it works.